And then you have his friend, the Maserati Marxist over there in the...
The latest drama in Canadian politics is like something out of a soap opera, complete with luxury cars, fancy suits, and fiery accusations. At the center of it all? Jagmeet Singh, leader of the NDP, who has found himself in hot water over his so-called Marxist Maserati. Yes, you read that right, a Maserati. The same Singh who rallies against wealth inequality and claims to champion the working class has been caught living a life most Canadians can only dream of. The irony is almost too much to handle. But wait, Singh has an explanation, or at least he tries to. The car isn't technically his, he says. It's registered under his wife's name. As if that makes the optics any better. Critics, especially the Conservatives, are having a field day with this revelation. They've slapped him with the nickname Maserati Marxist, a moniker that's spreading like wildfire on social media. It's a label that perfectly encapsulates the growing perception that Singh's words don't match his actions. Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party and self-proclaimed defender of the average Canadian, isn't letting this one slide. He's been relentless in pointing out the hypocrisy, painting Singh as just another politician who talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk. And Singh's problems don't end with the car. His penchant for expensive suits and his $500,000 taxpayer-funded business expenses have only added fuel to the fire. Private jets, five-star accommodations, and lavish dining. Singh's lifestyle sounds more like that of a Fortune 500 CEO than a champion of the working class. As for Justin Trudeau, he's too busy dodging his own scandals to pay much attention. But let's not forget that Trudeau isn't exactly Mr. Relatable either. Between his own love for luxury and his government's endless tax hikes, Canadians are fed up with leaders who seem completely out of touch with their struggles. Poilievre has been quick to capitalize on this frustration, branding both Trudeau and Singh as elitists who are more interested in maintaining their cushy lifestyles than actually helping Canadians. The Maserati scandal, as it's now being called, has highlighted a growing divide between Singh's rhetoric and reality. This is a man who preaches wealth redistribution and rails against the elite, yet he's cruising around in a car that costs more than the average Canadian's yearly salary. For many, it's a slap in the face. If Singh can't be transparent about something as simple as his car, how can Canadians trust him to tackle more pressing issues? Meanwhile, Poilievre is making the most of this political gift. His attacks on Singh's hypocrisy have struck a chord with voters who are tired of being lectured about sacrifice by politicians who clearly don't practice what they preach. The Conservative leader's populist message of fiscal responsibility and individual freedom is resonating with Canadians who feel left behind by the Liberal and NDP leadership. But this isn't just about Singh's car or even his lifestyle. It's about what these controversies represent. The public is growing increasingly disillusioned with politicians who say one thing and do another. Singh struggles to reconcile his progressive image with his extravagant reality only serve to deepen that cynicism. And the drama doesn't end there. Social media has turned this scandal into a full-blown spectacle, with hashtags like #MarxistMaserati trending and memes flooding timelines. It's a distraction, sure, but it's also a reflection of how personal branding has taken over Canadian politics. Instead of focusing on policy debates, we're left watching a soap opera where leaders' lifestyles become the main storyline. At the end of the day, Singh's Maserati isn't just a car, it's a symbol of the disconnect between politicians and the people they claim to represent. Whether he can recover from this PR nightmare remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. The road ahead is anything but smooth, and as the Maserati Marxist narrative picks up steam, the fallout isn't limited to Singh alone. His party, the NDP, is starting to feel the heat too. Members are being forced to defend their leader's lavish tastes, which is no easy task when you're supposed to stand for the working class. The optics are terrible. Singh's love for luxury is becoming a liability not just for his personal image but for the credibility of the entire party. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is milking the situation for all it's worth, using Singh's troubles to hammer home his own message. For Poilievre, it's the perfect storm, a chance to contrast Singh's flashy lifestyle with his own promises of fiscal responsibility and affordability for Canadians. Every tweet, every speech, every press conference is another opportunity to remind voters that Singh is living large while they're struggling to pay their bills. And Poilievre isn't stopping with Singh. He's roping Trudeau into the drama, framing both leaders as out-of-touch elites who have more in common with each other than with the average Canadian. In Poilievre's narrative, Trudeau and Singh are two sides of the same coin, big spenders with little regard for the financial realities of the people they claim to serve. It's a narrative that's gaining traction, especially among middle-class voters who feel abandoned by the Liberal NDP alliance. Singh, for his part, is trying to push back. He's doubling down on his progressive messaging, hoping to shift the focus back to policies that resonate with his base, things like affordable housing, wealth taxes, and worker protections. But it's hard to talk about taxing the rich when your critics can point to your designer suits and Italian sports car as proof that you're not exactly hurting for cash. The media, of course, is having a field day. Headlines about the Maserati Marxist are everywhere, and the story shows no signs of dying down. Pundits are dissecting every aspect of Singh's lifestyle, from the cost of his watches to the price tag on his bespoke suits. Every new detail only reinforces the perception that Singh is out of step with the working-class Canadians he claims to represent. Even within the NDP, there's grumbling. Some party members are reportedly unhappy with how Singh is handling the controversy, feeling that his evasive answers are making things worse. There's talk of whether the party needs to rethink its leadership if it wants to avoid being dragged down by Singh's personal baggage. After all, it's hard to advocate for social justice and wealth redistribution when your leader is being accused of living like the 1%. And then there's Trudeau, watching from the sidelines as Singh takes the heat. But Trudeau isn't exactly in the clear. His own luxury lifestyle and controversial policies are still under scrutiny, and Poilievre isn't letting him off the hook. While Singh is battling accusations of hypocrisy, Trudeau is facing criticism for his government's economic mismanagement and perceived indifference to the struggles of ordinary Canadians. Poilievre's attacks are landing because they speak to a broader frustration with the political class as a whole. Canadians are tired of leaders who seem more interested in photo ops and personal perks than in solving real problems. The Maserati scandal may have started with Singh, but it's become a symbol of a larger disconnect between politicians and the people they're supposed to represent. As the weeks go by, the story continues to evolve. Every new revelation adds another layer of intrigue, turning what could have been a minor controversy into a full-blown political crisis. For Singh, the challenge now is not just to salvage his own reputation, but to convince Canadians that his party still stands for the values it claims to champion. But in a world where perception often matters more than reality, that might be easier said than done. Singh's Maserati isn't just a car, it's a metaphor for the challenges facing progressive politics in Canada, a reminder that actions speak louder than words, and that in the court of public opinion, appearances can be everything. As the controversy lingers, Singh's attempts at damage control are proving to be a mixed bag. In one moment, he leans into humility, admitting that perhaps he could have been more mindful of how his choices might be perceived. In another, he lashes out at his critics, accusing them of using his personal life to distract from the real issues facing Canadians. But this balancing act between defiance and contrition doesn't seem to be working. For every supporter who applauds his candor, there's another who feels let down by what they see as a lack of accountability. Meanwhile, Pierre Poilievre continues to sharpen his attacks, using the Maserati Marxist scandal to expand his reach beyond the conservative base. Poilievre is positioning himself as the voice of ordinary Canadians, hammering home a populist message that resonates in a time of economic uncertainty. While Jagmeet Singh cruises around in his luxury car, Canadians are struggling to fill up their tanks and pay their bills, he declares at rallies, drawing cheers from the crowd. For Poilievre, the optics of this controversy are a gift that keeps on giving. Social media, ever the amplifier, is only making things worse for Singh. Memes of Singh stepping out of his Maserati in a tailored suit flood Twitter and Instagram, often accompanied by captions mocking his progressive rhetoric. Hashtags like hashtag Maserati Marxist and hashtag luxury leftist trend repeatedly, fueled by both political opponents and disillusioned voters. Singh's attempts to redirect the conversation towards substantive policy proposals are drowned out by the viral nature of the scandal. Even comedians are getting in on the act. Late-night shows and online sketch artists are poking fun at Singh's predicament, portraying him as the politician who wants to redistribute wealth but keeps the Maserati keys firmly in his pocket. It's a tough pill for Singh to swallow, especially given how much effort he's put into branding himself as a relatable, down-to-earth leader. For the NDP, the stakes couldn't be higher. The party is already struggling to maintain its footing in a polarized political landscape dominated by the Liberals and Conservatives. Singh's personal missteps threaten to alienate the very voters the NDP needs to stay relevant, progressives who want to see a leader who not only talks the talk but walks the walk. The party's internal strategists are scrambling to contain the fallout, urging Singh to focus on bread-and-butter issues that resonate with working-class Canadians. But the damage to his credibility is hard to undo. Then there's Justin Trudeau, who might have hoped to fly under the radar while Singh bore the brunt of public outrage. But Poilievre's relentless critiques ensure that Trudeau isn't off the hook. The Prime Minister's own perceived elitism and the Liberals' controversial policies, like the carbon tax, are constant targets for Conservative attacks. Poilievre's strategy is clear: lump Trudeau and Singh together as out-of-touch elites who are more concerned with their own comfort than with the needs of ordinary Canadians. This narrative is gaining traction, particularly among swing voters who feel left behind by the Liberal-NDP alliance. It's not just about the Maserati, it's about what it symbolizes. For many, the image of Singh in a luxury car is a shorthand for a broader frustration with politicians who seem disconnected from the realities of everyday life. As the scandal drags on, some political analysts are starting to wonder if Singh's leadership could survive the next election. While the NDP has historically been forgiving of its leaders, there's only so much goodwill to go around when the party's brand is at stake. For now, Singh is holding on, but his grip on the party's reins feels increasingly tenuous. For his part, Poilievre is capitalizing on the moment to solidify his position as the leading opposition voice. His message is simple: Canadians deserve leaders who practice what they preach, not politicians who say one thing and do another. It's a potent argument in a political climate where authenticity is at a premium. And so, the saga of the Maserati Marxist rolls on, a potent reminder of how quickly a leader's image can unravel in the age of instant communication and relentless scrutiny. Whether Singh can rebuild his reputation or whether this scandal marks the beginning of the end for his political career remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the road ahead will be anything but smooth.